My wife left me because I was a failure. Now she wants me back, but I have a surprise for her. Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be the one posting something like this, but after lurking for years, I figured it was my turn. This is a story of betrayal, growth, and a little bit of well-earned karma. Buckle up. My ex-wife, Lisa, not her real name, and I were together for 7 years, married for 5. We met in college and were inseparable. She always said she admired my ambition, my drive, and my dream of starting my own business one day. She used to say, "I love that you're not like other guys who are just content with a boring 9 to 5. You're gonna do something big." At the time, I was working in corporate finance. The job paid well, but I hated it. I wanted more than just a paycheck. I wanted to build something for myself. And for a while, Lisa seemed supportive of that dream. But as I learned later, she only liked the idea of ambition, not the struggle that came with it. After years of playing it safe, I finally decided to take the plunge. I quit my job to start my own business. It was a calculated risk. I had some savings, a solid plan, and a clear vision. Lisa told me she was proud of me, that she admired my courage, but admiration quickly turned into impatience. The first few months were rough. Money was tight, and I worked insane hours. I could see progress, but it wasn't happening fast enough for Lisa. She started making small, passive-aggressive comments. Maybe you should pick up some side work, just in case. I miss when we could just go on trips without worrying about money. Are you sure this was the right decision? I won't lie, her words got to me. I was exhausted, stressed, and filled with doubt, but I still believed in what I was doing. I thought Lisa would stick with me through the hard times, that we'd build this future together. I was wrong. About a year in, I finally started to see a breakthrough. I was close to landing my first big contract, and things were finally looking up. But by then, Lisa had already checked out. One night, she sat me down and hit me with the talk. "I can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm stuck with someone who's going nowhere." I tried to explain that success takes time, that I was on the verge of something big. But she didn't care. She had already decided. I want a divorce. She packed her bags and left that weekend. No hesitation, no second thoughts. It was like I had been holding her back from some better life she thought she deserved. And honestly, that broke me. The weeks after she left were some of the worst of my life. I couldn't sleep. I barely ate. I kept replaying everything in my head, wondering if she was right. Was I just a failure? Had I thrown everything away for nothing? For a brief moment, I even thought about calling her, begging her to come back. But deep down, I knew she wouldn't. And even if she did, would I really want someone who only wanted me when things were easy? Then one morning, something changed. I woke up and realized I wasn't a failure. I just hadn't succeeded yet. And that was the moment everything turned around. Hey Reddit. So after my last post, a lot of people asked how things turned around for me and what happened next. Well, strap in, because this is where the story really takes off. After Lisa left, I felt like absolute garbage. It's one thing to struggle, it's another thing entirely to have the person who promised to stand by you decide that you're not worth the wait. That shit hurt. But after a few weeks of wallowing, something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let her be right about me. I doubled down on my work. I started waking up at 5 a.m., hitting the gym, and focusing every ounce of my energy on building my business. I cut out distractions, no social media, no nights out, no pointless self-pity. Every single day was about improving myself. And slowly but surely, it started paying off. I landed my first big contract 3 months after Lisa left. It was worth more than I had made in an entire year at my corporate job. 6 months in, my company started getting recognition in my industry. Clients began reaching out to me instead of the other way around. By the end of the year, I was making more in a month than I used to make in a year. I also worked on myself physically. I lost weight, built muscle, and gained a confidence I never had before. The guy Lisa left, he didn't exist anymore. Then, just as life was finally coming together, Lisa messaged me. Out of nowhere, she texted me, "Hey, it's been a while, how have you been?" I almost laughed out loud. It had been a full year since she walked out. When I saw her name pop up on my phone, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just curiosity. I played it cool. I responded casually, and before I knew it, she was really talking to me. Asking about my life, how work was going, dropping hints that she had been thinking about me a lot. A few days later, she asked if we could meet up for coffee. I knew exactly why she was reaching out, and I wasn't about to let this opportunity go to waste. I picked a high-end cafe in the city, one I knew would impress her. When she walked in and saw me, her eyes widened. I looked different, more confident, more successful, and I could tell she noticed. We sat down and she went on and on about how much she missed me, how she realized she had been too harsh, and how she had been so lost after the divorce. Then came the real reason she reached out. I regret leaving you. I see now that I made a mistake. Maybe we could try again? I stared at her for a moment. This was the woman who called me a failure and left me at my lowest point. And now that I had built myself back up, she wanted back in? I could have unleashed on her. I could have told her how wrong she was, how she abandoned me when I needed her the most. But instead, I just smiled and said, "That's interesting, because I actually have some big news too." She looked excited, like she thought I was going to say that I missed her too. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a wedding invitation. To my wedding. Her face went completely blank. "Wait, what?" she stammered. I leaned back in my chair and said, "Yeah. I met someone who actually stood by me through everything. We're getting married next month." Lisa didn't say anything for a full 10 seconds. Then she mumbled, I didn't know you were seeing someone." I shrugged. "Well, I guess that's what happens when you leave someone and never look back." She sat there completely speechless. And honestly, that was enough for me. I stood up, put some cash on the table, and said, "Take care, Lisa." Then I walked out. And let me tell you, that feeling was better than any revenge I could have planned. Lisa left me because she thought I was a failure. But the truth is, I was never a failure. I was just a work in progress. She wanted the reward without the struggle. But real love, real loyalty, it doesn't work like that. And the best part, I didn't have to do anything to get back at her. Life did it for me. My wife left me because I wasn't successful enough. I worked my ass off, built my dream life, and when she came crawling back, I told her I was already engaged to someone better. Karma's a beautiful thing. Alright, Reddit, let me know what you think. Would you have handled it differently? For months, I felt like I had finally closed the chapter on Lisa. No texts, no calls, no desperate attempts to crawl back, just silence. And that was the best part. I had won, until the day I saw her again. It was a normal afternoon. I was grabbing coffee near my office when I spotted her across the street. She looked different. No expensive handbags, no designer clothes, just a woman in a plain blazer holding a stack of papers hurrying into a building. And that building? Right next to my company, the feeling of victory, gone. All that was left was curiosity, and, though I didn't realize it at the time, pity. I should have walked away. I should have ignored her. Instead, I found myself waiting outside that building, and when she finally walked out, she froze. Not in guilt, not in anger, in shame. I guess you know. I didn't. But I let her talk, and that was my mistake. She told me she had lost everything. How life after the divorce had been hell. How she had tried to start over but had failed miserably. "I was stupid," she whispered. "I should have never left you." Lisa wasn't crying. She wasn't asking for anything. She just sounded broken. And I believed her. A week later, I offered her a job, just admin work. Nothing big, nothing that could cause any damage. "I don't deserve this," she had whispered, "but thank you." I told myself it was fine. I told myself I was in control. But I wasn't. Lisa wasn't trying to rebuild her life. She was waiting for the perfect moment to destroy mine. For months, nothing seemed wrong. Lisa was professional, hardworking, stayed in her lane. Everything in my company was perfect. And that was the problem. Because the moment things seem too perfect is the moment you're missing something. But I didn't realize that. Not until the worst possible moment. This was it. The biggest deal of my career. Months of negotiations, contracts, endless meetings, a deal worth millions. Today was the final step, the signing ceremony. I was untouchable. I was finally stepping into a whole new level of success. And then, right before we entered the boardroom, my business partner leaned in and whispered, "They brought in a new consultant last minute. Just a formality, I think." I barely paid attention. We walked in, I shook hands with the CEO, and then I saw her. Sitting right across from me, smiling, calm, Lisa. And then the CEO turned to me and said, Oh, I believe you two already know each other. Lisa Carter, our new strategic advisor. Carter, Lisa Carter. And then before I could even process that, the CEO laughed. Oh, I almost forgot. Congratulations are in order. I heard she just married David a few months ago. David Carter, the CEO of Fulton and Hayes, my biggest competitor. Lisa never lost. She never suffered. She never struggled to rebuild her life. She had just been waiting for this exact moment. And as I sat there stunned, Lisa leaned forward slightly, not enough for anyone else to notice, just enough for me to hear her whisper, "You never saw it coming, did you?" And in that moment, I knew. I had already lost. The contract was gone. Months of work, erased in a single moment. Lisa had been feeding them information the whole time. And me? I had handed her everything. I had let my pity destroy me. Lisa didn't come back to apologize. She didn't come back to make amends. She came back to finish what she started, and I had been too blind to see it. I walked out of that boardroom feeling like I had just woken up from a nightmare. But it wasn't a nightmare, it was real. Lisa was gone, the deal was gone. And my company, on the edge of ruin, all because I thought I was in control. But the truth? Lisa had been playing me from the start, and in the end, she won.